Hey guys, welcome back to another stream. I really apologize for being quite a few minutes late. Basically, Dan and I saw Alex Goldberg's post on Twitter about fans like getting surprised by meeting Mason Mount, and I just like could not contain myself. I was like, oh my God. And so I just had to compose myself. And then we were talking about how Aspie is literally 5 minutes away from me, training with the Spanish national team. So I want to go try to meet him and run into, like, it's not going to be possible, but you have to take a shot, right? Like, why not just give it a try and see if you run into him in this like town that's right next to me where he's staying. So that's why we were late. We were chatting behind the scenes about that. So I'm really sorry. I had to get like my nervous energy out of me. The thought of like, running into Aslakot or whatever, not going to happen, but a girl can dream, right? So that's a long-winded way to introduce my guest. Dan has been on my channel quite a few times already, so a lot of you probably already know him or from his podcast or from Twitter. He does so many things. So Dan, thanks so much for joining me.
Pleasure. I need to match your excitement levels and your and your nervous levels, but no, I mean, yeah, we saw that obviously on Twitter, and it's funny, right? Timing and everything, and what you can do with no shame, as we were saying earlier off air, with no shame, you can get you some far places. So yeah, let the work rate begin.
Yeah, so I'm gonna drag my husband to go try to find him. Like, the world needs a picture of Aswakota and my husband together as well. Like, because I'm convinced that they're like cousins. So then.
Absolutely.
Guys, without further ado, let's get into this transfer episode because I know that's what you guys are here for. Feel free to ask any questions that you have. There's been a lot of transfer rumors already. I don't know what to believe, what to take with a grain of salt. So Dan, hopefully you can provide some clarity on this because I just feel like it's been completely all over the place. But I want to start with the striker position because I think that that's a position that Chelsea probably do need to strengthen. I do think that Timo Werner has the ability to become a good player for Chelsea, but I think by signing a striker, you kind of, one, take the pressure off of him to score, to be your 20-plus goal scorer, and two, you give him somebody to play off of as well. So I think that could really take Chelsea to an elite level. So, Dan, what is the news on all the striker situation?
What is going on?
What is going on?
The latest, Chelsea still want a centre forward. That's still a priority, absolutely. As I've always said, and people don't like this when people give you the truth. Everyone just kind of wants to hear what they want to hear rather than what the truth is. And it's going to be so hard to get a centre forward because all the ones that we want are all top tier, right? And negotiations in football are very difficult. So I've always ruled out Harry Kane from number one. That's never happening. I'm still maintaining that. Erling Haaland is someone that the club loves. Roman Abramovich loves. There's rumours, right, that he'll pay whatever he can to get him. If that's the case, then it'll be a similar scenario to Kai Havertz, where you just throw the money at it and make it happen immediately. I personally, from my personal opinion, from what I've heard personally, I don't know if we'll get Haaland right now, but way too early to obviously rule it out. Lukaku, who's for many been the number one, right? The number one target, the most achievable, the most plausible, the easiest to kind of get until he did that interview, right? I wouldn't read too much into that interview, to be honest. I'm throwing an article out today on that a couple of days late, but still, I won't read too much into it. That could be so many different things. That could be Chelsea pretty much saying we don't want you anymore. So he's come out and said, okay, well, I don't want to go. I'm staying, right? It could be, him playing hardball, as in like, you want me, come get me, which Lukaku is very much that kind of player. He needs to feel the love. He needs an arm around his shoulder. It could be that he's helping the club in some way, right? He's solidifying the club. He's trying to make things stable into Milan, as he's obviously the top guy there right now. There's so many different avenues this could go down, but whenever I obviously checked in immediately after that interview, and what people have told me is I still wouldn't rule it out. I still wouldn't say this is over. This saga's done.
Mm-hmm.
I think Chelsea will look at that if they haven't already and said they don't want him. Then they'll obviously pursue Haaland further. But I think they're always going to keep Lukaku around as an option. I really do, and I feel like Lukaku, if we were to throw the money at Lukaku necessary, that it would happen. It's really all going to be down to Roman and Marina. It's what Roman can afford the player. He likes both players, right? But it's just kind of what he said he'll afford and can buy both players. I think it's more down to Marina, right, of what makes sense financially in terms of wages and bonuses and add-ons, like what makes sense, which Marina will handle, and also other targets, which I'm sure we'll get to in a minute, so I won't ruin that fun.
Yeah, so like couple of follow-up questions here. Like, I don't know, if I were a player, I don't know, I feel like it's like if you have any intention of leaving the club, I don't know, like I personally wouldn't go out and say, oh, I'm 1,000% staying. I'm very happy here. I've talked to the new manager, whoever that may be. And then you go on to leave. Like, I feel like it could be a really bad look if you go on to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%. Which would maybe lean to the point of, did Chelsea tell his representatives, right, that we don't want you? Like, have Chelsea basically told Lukaku, no, like we don't want you, we can't afford you, not can't afford you, but can't afford in the respect of his wage packet, because he's going to demand a huge wage packet. Like, he's an established footballer, so, and pricing him away from Inter won't be easy. So I do wonder if that's the case then. So he's heard that, seen that, and gone, okay, well, I don't want to go then. So there's definitely that element,
Yeah, and in regards to Haaland, like 2012, Chelsea won the Champions League. They're courting a certain Eden Hazard, initials EH. 2021, Chelsea win the Champions League. Again, Erling Haaland, EH. I'm EH. So that must be special, something. Do you think like that it's like, I've read over 200 million or something like that? Like, do you think that Chelsea, is that the number? Like, what's the number? And what do you think that Chelsea would realistically do that deal with, knowing like his agent, the agent fees, the wages that he's going to demand as well, and knowing that he has a release clause next season as well? No,
he does. I honestly think if Chelsea are going to sign Erling Haaland, they have to sign him this summer. They have to. They won't get him next summer with a release clause. No way. We don't know if Chelsea will win the Champions League again. We don't know if Chelsea will win the Premier League next year. Everyone is going to be fighting for that release clause. Everyone. Real Madrid will be more stable. Barcelona will be more stable, right? Bayern Munich, you never know what's going to happen with Lewandowski. He could get a career-ending injury next year. Obviously, we hope he doesn't, but he might. Right, he might want to leave. Lewandowski might go one more year, win it all, and then be like, I'm out. And then buyers go, thank you. So if Chelsea are going to buy him, they have to buy him this summer. And I think I've been told that the club know that and are aware of that. Hence why they've shifted him higher. He kind of got forgotten about a little bit, right? He kind of got put to the side a little bit because the Lukaku became available. But now it's like, oh, okay, we might need to actually really go for Haaland. So if we're going to get him, Ellie, we have to get him this year. How much? I mean, it's so difficult to predict, right? Because there's people don't realize how hard and intertwined negotiations are. It's not like, okay, we're going to pay you 120 grand a week we're going to buy you for 100 million, and that's it. Like, that is not it. If anybody's ever played like Football Manager, it's like that on steroids. Like, it is crazy. There's guarantees, there's clauses, there's 10% pay rises if this happens. There's, subsidized wage. It's spread across accounting books. Like, there's just so much to it. But I would say that Chelsea will have to pay at least 120, 130 million. At least. I think you're looking at 150, 160, 170.
I thought 200, so it's a little bit lower.
I don't see it being 200. I don't. When you account maybe everything, wages, agent fees, everything. Then
yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Well, I guess Chelsea should have the money more or less, like being backed by Roman, winning the Champions League, you get a good sum of money, getting top four, so Champions League next season as well. So it'll definitely be interesting. So George has asked, would Lewandowski be an option for Chelsea? I saw that a couple weeks ago and then it kind of died away. What are you thinking?
I shut that rumor down right away when it came up a few weeks ago. Simon wasn't happy with me about that, but I did, because it's never happening. He doesn't like it when I do that because he's more optimistic than I am. He's more like, oh, it could happen, and I'm always like, no, it's not happening. Lewandowski definitely won't happen this year. The only way Lewandowski would happen, right, is if Bayern were in talks and plans to sign Haaland next year, right, and Lewandowski left, and Chelsea did like a whole Falcao, thing when they buy that Shevchenko, that kind of scenario. But personally, I don't ever see Lewandowski playing for Chelsea now.
So it sounds quite difficult for Chelsea to be getting a striker this season, which is not fantastic news given I was thinking, we've just won the freaking Champions League. Like, we're going to be able to get whatever player that we want, but it really doesn't feel like that's the case just for like the ridiculous transfer fees that they're
If we didn't have Marina, then maybe we would be more like that. But Marina was brought in, right, to kind of negotiate and to be financially reliable, financially stable. Because before, right, it was Roman would just go, all right, bang, buy him, And Chelsea couldn't operate as a business like that for a long time, So I think that's why. Well, that was why Marina was brought in, right, to be more of the eyes and the brains of that and kind of make sure we are a business, because we are a business, let's be honest. So I think if Roman had his way, he probably would, he's obviously loves the club, adores the club, has the money. He would probably go out and buy Haaland, Lukaku and Sancho. But, when it comes to accounting, when it comes to his business, that can't happen, right? So I definitely think that we are capable. We're definitely capable, right? It just has to make sense. Whereas before it didn't really make most financial sense when we were buying all them players, but now it has to make financial sense.
Yeah, makes sense. So you think, given that Chelsea, may not get their top striker, perhaps they want to wait to sign a top striker. What do you think happens in that other position? Because, Giroud just got announced a contract extension, but I have a feeling that's in order to be able to get some money for him this summer.
Agreed.
Okay, cool. On the same page. Look at me go. And and Tammy has been iced out. So I think it might be a bit hard to salvage that relationship at this point. I don't know. So then what do you really do?
I mean, that's when a winger could come into play, right? That's where a Sancho could potentially come into play. For what it's worth, I personally, and I've done some digging on this, like some real digging on Sancho, even though I've always said it's unlikely. If you go back and look at my tweets, I've always said unlikely we sign Sancho. I still think he'll personally go to United. Even though I've heard and been told that he would prefer a move to Chelsea and would prefer a move to London, which makes sense. He's a Chelsea fan. He's a London boy. He's got friends at Chelsea. It would make sense that he would prefer that, right? Living in London. But he would go to Man United. There'd be no issue with him going to Man United. He just wants to come back to England, right? So I definitely think that Sancho could come into play, because Chelsea do like him. Chelsea's hierarchy like him. The board like him. Roman likes him. He's affordable. He's going to cost 70, 80 million probably this year instead of the 108, 10 last year. So I definitely think I'd keep a very small eye on it. I still don't think it's going to happen, but I'd keep an eye on it, because if Chelsea really struggle to get their centre forward, they might get him, right, and go with Kai and Werner for this year forward.
What do you think is like the reason that he would go to United versus Chelsea? Because I see Chelsea a much stronger team personally.
United want him more than Chelsea do. United are putting that, it's like, do you hold out? You've got Real Madrid, you've got Barcelona. Real Madrid really want you. Well, that's not a great example. Maybe you go Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund example, right? Like Bayern Munich, obviously the better team. Borussia Dortmund are decent, right? It's like Borussia Dortmund really want you. You're going to be the star man. You're going to play every event. They're a huge club.
No.
Bayern are kind of flowing with you. It's like, do you take that risk of okay, I could go play for Bayern, but I don't know if I'm ever going to get there, or do I go to Dortmund, right? I know. So it's kind of like that. I know that's not the best example, but I think you get the point, right? As in Chelsea are the better team and the better club, even though they finished above us in the league. But their project is better. I think Thomas Tuchel will shine this year, right? But United want him. United, obviously, a huge club. I'm sure he'll be getting a serious wage packet there, serious player rights and all that stuff. And they want him more, and that means a lot to some players, right? Being wanted.
That's interesting. Super good point. So you think, if Chelsea, well, I'll kind of ask you two questions. Like, first question, if Chelsea don't get their marquee striker signing, do you think that we could look to other positions for that marquee signing, like a Declan Rice? And if we sign a marquee signing, do you think we would have the same level of interest in signing Declan Rice? So kind of like a two-parter.
So, yeah, no, they're both good questions. Thomas Tuchel really wants a DM. Know that for sure. Always said that. I think a few people have asked me on streams and podcasts, right? What is the priority? Is it centre forward? Is it DM? And they're both. I think the club are more obsessed with centre forward. Here. Oh, there you go. I think the board are more obsessed with a centre forward because of that marquee, excuse me, the Hollywood.
It's like a sexy signing, like a marquee striker.
Right. Excuse me. So, yeah, probably the striker for the board. Thomas Tuchel is very big on a DM. Like, he's very big on that because of tactics, because of changing formation potentially, because he's fully aware that, we need that different style of player. We've got Jorginho, we've got Conte, we've got Kovacic. They're all so different, but we haven't got that DM, like break up play. He's also very, very in love with the fact of a DM that can play both centre back and centre mid. Hence why we've been linked with Boubacar Kamara. Hence why we've been linked with Tuchel, how do you say his name? And obviously Declan can play both. So I'd say Thomas prefers a DM. I'd say the club prefers a forward. They'll come together and obviously make what happens. To answer your questions in the longest winded way possible, if we sign, if we don't get the forward, could we still go for the DM? Absolutely. Yep. I personally would hate to see us settle for like a second, third tier striker. I think if we can't get the striker, don't sign a striker. Just go with the DM. Fix everything else. Fix it. Go with the DM. If one of our wingers wants to leave, get a winger. But fix what you can. Don't settle. If we do get a striker, can we still get Declan Rice? Only if we sell players. Only if we sell players. If we can't get both without selling people. We would have signed Declan Rice a long time ago if we sold players. Let's just say that.
Oh, we have our matching Apple Watches.
Hey,
I like your color. Oh man. So what is it looking like in the outgoings department? Let's kind of go over that. Like, who's most likely to leave, and then we can kind of go into if we could see replacements for them.
Yeah, so the obvious would be obviously Ross Barkley, Zappacosta.
I forgot about Zappacosta's still with the club.
Yeah, I know, right?
I literally
forgot. There's a few. Van Ginkel's obviously being released. Bakayoko. There's a few obvious. Obviously, the two goalkeepers are leaving this year, Caballero and Jamal Balkman. There'll be a lot of people going back out on loan. Conor Gallagher, Billy Gilmore, depending on how his pre-season goes, could go on loan. Ruben Loftus-Cheek is coming back. He could go back out on the loan or be sold. The big ones would be, can we find a buyer for Jorginho? Even though there is rumours of him signing a new contract and Tuchel does rate him and the club love his energy and his leadership, I know for sure that if the club got a good offer, they would take it. They would take it. It's a good, a good offer for Chelsea is not a good offer for everybody. So we have to get a good offer. And who's going to offer what we want for Jorginho? I don't know. Not in this climate, right? So, however, if we did get that good offer, we would take it, and that would definitely help with signing a DM. Absolutely. Another one you probably want to keep your eye on is Kurt Zuma. I think Kurt Zuma, there's a chance he could go. He's very much of the opinion that he's not second choice, third choice. He doesn't want to do that. His agent is not a fan of him not playing. Zuma's very aware that there's a lot of European clubs that would take him in a heartbeat. He has a good stock. Let's say he could probably play a lot. He would play a lot more in a different team with a different style. So yeah, I will keep an eye on him for sure. And obviously Tammy, right? Unless something miraculous happens and we are really struggling, then I can definitely see Tammy. The only thing with Tammy is, would it be a loan or a buy? I think in an ideal world, everybody, it would be a sale. But who's going to be offering 30, 40 million for Tammy Abraham right now? Again, we don't know. No one can really afford that. So could it be a loan with an option to buy option? That might be something.
Interesting. Oh, man. So kind of like processing all of this information, would you say in order to buy Declan Rice, we need to sell Jorginho? Like 1,000%.
Yeah.
So
that's as black and white as it gets. Yeah. And we would sign him if we did it. If we had already sold Jorginho. I
think like it could make sense. Personally, like Declan Rice is super young. So, Jorginho is going to be, I think, 30 already, not the most physical of players. He can have his games. So I think it's a move that could personally make sense. But what if we did something? I'm just like totally creating my own transfer thing.
You do you.
This is probably not even likely, but I feel like I've seen something. I don't know if people are just making this up, just like wishing it into existence. But I've seen like Tammy loan or sell to West Ham, and then potentially you can get Declan. So thoughts on that? Would you still need to sell Jorginho?
So not, if that all happened, then probably not, right? But is that going to happen? Like, I know West Ham are interested in Tammy. West Ham are interested in Ross Barkley, right? Because David Moyes likes him from Everton. But I don't see a deal where we go, all right, you can have Tammy and Abraham, Tammy and Ross, with you, and we'll take Declan. Like, it's not FIFA. To put it right, that's just so unlikely. There's just so many moving pieces, right? What do you offer Ross Barkley wages and playing time? What do you give Tammy wages and playing time? What do we give? How much are we going to get? It's just that is a mess of a deal. Like, that would take weeks and months to negotiate. Not sure Chelsea have that patience. We are typically patient and we do take our time with things, but I'll tell you what, the best thing that could happen to Chelsea regarding Declan Rice is someone else makes a bid for him. If City or United went and made a bid for him, that would wake Chelsea up big time.
Because you think, like, if Declan, I don't know if the player even really necessarily gets that much say in it, but I think if he had the choice, he would definitely be going back to Chelsea.
Yeah, if he could choose, he would, of course, play for Chelsea. But what I will say is, just from what I've heard and seen, Declan is an uber professional kid. Like, very, he's got no issue staying at West Ham at all. Like, he's the captain, he's the leader. They just made Europe. He likes David Moyes. He's very much loves the West Ham faithful. Obviously, the club gave him a lot, right? They gave him a chance, and he's very aware of that. So he's never ever going to push for a move. He's never ever going to hand in a transfer request, like, never. So he's okay. He's happy. Would he like to play for Chelsea? Of course he would. That's his dream, and he would obviously choose to go to Chelsea out of anywhere in the world. I'm sure, probably. Unless someone doubled his money, right? But he would, but at the same time, he would probably be okay. He would be okay with playing for another club if someone gave him the right project and the right money. He would go. So it's not Chelsea or nothing, and hence why I think that maybe Chelsea because Chelsea are very much they know that, they're aware of that, so they're kind of like, we'll get there eventually, kind of thing. Whereas if United just went in with 60 million, I think Chelsea could panic and be like, oh no, we're about to lose Declan Rice.
Yeah. Well, I'm personally really glad to see that we're still interested in Declan because, like, I thought that maybe our interest in him would die with Frank Lampard's leaving. Yeah. So it's really nice to, like, see these rumors coming back and that there is a possibility. So we have a really interesting question from TK that I really liked. It says, with Mendy departing for AFCON mid-season, which I completely forgot about, and Willie departing, would Chelsea still try to offload Kepa? And we know that Donnarumma, I think, is leaving on a free, but then you still have the agent fees, transfer fees. Like, do you buy another keeper, or do you kind of rely on Kepa? What are you thinking?
Yeah, it's so difficult, right? I think in an ideal world, we would get rid of Kepa right? But he's on 190 grand a week.
That's insane. Like,
because, well, it is, right? At the
bench.
same time, it isn't in the respect of we actually thought we were signing our keeper, right, for the next 10, 12 years. So when we bought him, right, we all thought that. So 190 grand a week for someone like of that nature is not that bad.
Probably wouldn't.
It didn't work out. So for someone
isn't even making that much. Like, come on.
Right. And you're thinking, right, if you're Kepa, are you going to go somewhere for 100 grand a week and half your money? Like, no. Would you?
I said this and people came at me. I said this.
No, right? Okay, we're normal people, all of us, right? You earn 50 grand a year, all right? Oh, okay, come and do the same job for a lesser company for half the money.
Yeah.
No, you're okay. Thanks. You know, it's the whole running joke, right? Second, third goalkeeper is the best job in football. I swear to God. I wish I was Rob Green at Chelsea too. That's my dream job. Just train every day, live the dream, get paid a boatload of money. Oh, dream.
Yeah, and you have like hardly any of the pressure as well.
So, no, all jokes aside though, Kepa, ideal world, Kepa would go be a number one somewhere. Chelsea would get him off the books. Chelsea would get some money for him. Not so difficult to do because no one's going to pay his wages. Chelsea don't want to loan him and pay his wages. They might pay some, but not all of it.
Why would it be better to keep him and pay his wages instead of loan and pay his wages? You know what I mean? Because at least with a loan, maybe you get some money and then you can increase his value to potentially sell him in the future.
Yeah, no, I think Chelsea will look at the loan option, right? It's just Chelsea are looking at free agent goalkeepers right now. They're looking at, you know, there's been a lot of links with Donnarumma. I don't think that's not going to happen. But, you know, there's a few free agents out there. Sergio Romero, Ben Foster. You know, they've looked at those alternatives. They've looked at that kind of love him.
So love sweet.
Him. Yeah, I love him. His YouTube channel was amazing. But, yeah, so that criteria, Chelsea are looking into that. And also there's a couple of academy kids who might come up and be the third choice goalkeeper. So sure. I wouldn't be shocked either way. I wouldn't be shocked if Kepa went. I wouldn't be shocked if Kepa stayed. It's that one is way too early to kind of figure out right now, and I haven't heard too much on it. But what I do know is that if we could sell Kepa, we would, but it's just so hard to get rid of him.
Yeah. What do you think is like a reasonable price that they would say, okay, like this is good? Because you're never, ever going to recap the 70 million that you paid for him.
Never. I know what I would take, right? I would probably take 40, 50 mil.
I was thinking 30, 40.
Yeah, but Chelsea won't take anything less than, I don't think, 50, 55.
Good luck, like when he's not playing.
Exactly. Who in what world is someone buying him? No one. Not in a normal world, let alone a COVID world still. So Chelsea need to get him on a 2-year loan deal to somewhere he wants to go, someone that will subsidise his wages, and then hopefully he has a good year or two, and then that club buys him for a price deal or something. That is the best scenario we can think of.
Just even trying to find a club that's going to subsidise 190K a week wages, that's insane. And here I am debating like buying like leggings for 50 euros. Like yeah. So a couple more questions for you. You know, saw some more links. Callum Hudson-Odoi, somebody that we've kind of seen on the outskirts with a couple of different managers now. You know, we saw it under Sarri, and I kind of chalked it up to him being really young. I think he was just 18 at the time. But now we've seen it under Lampard. We've seen it under Tuchel as well. So you think that he's a possibility to leave to try to get more game time elsewhere?
Remind me of the name, sorry.
Callum.
Hudson-Odoi?
Yeah.
I thought oh, God, here we go. Callum. So what I'm told and what I've heard, he's not going to go anywhere, right? Tuchel does like him. We know that. I know Tuchel didn't play him that much, but that's because Tuchel didn't really have the time to nurture and develop Callum. It was pretty much you got to win, and you got to win now. So and Callum wasn't. I know people will disagree with me. Callum wasn't in the best 11 at that moment, and he wasn't really breaking into it. right? So Tuchel had to go with tried and trusted experience. He had to play the new signings because of politics, which people don't like me saying, but it's true. So,
is it like stated like you like or kind of like
it's not in the contract, but it's pressure from the top saying you're playing Timo Werner, you're playing Kai Havertz, you know. So
just makes sense. I've said this as well.
Right, 100%. So with Callum, I think he'll get a really big chance in pre-season for sure. We've got some really me and Simon, more Simon than me, has got a really good source with Callum, like really good. He typically knows everything. And the last he said was, I don't want to regurgitate Simon's news, but he's more close to it than I am. He said that Callum's happy, family's happy, wants to stay at Chelsea, believes in himself under Tuchel. With that said, though, things in football could change very quickly, right? If someone did come in with a massive offer for Callum, which I don't know if anybody would now, even Bayern, then I think you would turn a few heads. I definitely think the family would look at it and go, "Well, Cal, you can go play. Like, you could be a main man somewhere." And then Chelsea will look at it and go, "Oh, like, we can get some serious money here, and we can get Sancho, or we can get whoever."
Yeah.
So I don't think the swap deal's happening. If that's what you're asking, between Callum and I would take it in a heartbeat. Personally, I would 100% do it.
Like a straight swap for Callum and Sancho.
Yeah, won't happen. Won't happen.
Won't happen. But
I would take it. But he's got a lot of potential. He's got a lot of potential. He's a Chelsea boy, so we always want him to succeed, right? But I'm kind of bored of the whole Callum Hudson-Odoi train. I'm kind of bored of saying he has potential. He has potential. You know, he's had a year or two now. Like, I know he came off a really tough injury. It's been tough to break into the team, but I think this year he has to kick on. He has to kick on.
No, I've been feeling like that. Like, I want to see more of Callum, and I understand like he had the injury, and like it's also difficult when you're not getting consistent game time as well. So I totally get that, but I think like our expectations are so high, especially after signing that new contract. So I don't know. I think he needs to kick it up a gear. And then, all right, I just have so many questions popping in my head. Sorry, like you can totally tell me, like I'm done with this. Like I'm over talking about transfer.
No, go ahead.
So I've seen some more links for Ziyech as well. I think it was to Napoli, because you know it's something that I've kind of like questioned, like where Ziyech really fits into this team, because you know he hasn't been playing all that much. You also have Pulisic, you have Callum. You know, Ziyech is kind of like up and down. Like he can have his moments and he can turn it on and be really on, but then he can also just completely just give away pass after pass after pass. So do you think he's somebody on the radar? Like, we bought him, it didn't really work out, maybe we just sell him this summer?
Yeah, what I'll say about Ziyech is the reason he turns the ball over so much, right, is because he's typically going for the killer pass, which is in the team to do. So you have to kind of take the rough with the smooth with that, and kind of, you know, that's part of what he is. With that said, Ziyech was definitely a Lampard signing.
Interesting.
If you kind of get my drift, he was definitely a Lampard signing. So, you know, we've had those, right? We've had Conte signings with Emerson, you know, and Zappacosta. We've had Sarri signings with Jorginho, you know, so we definitely have that to take into account. Tuchel rates him, but I don't know if he's his main man. Like, I don't know if he's his number one. I think Tuchel would prefer to play other players ahead of him, right? So I think, again, it's hard. I don't see a market for Ziyech. I don't see who's going to buy him. He would do really well in the Italian league, really well. I think he'd rip it up, to be honest, even the French league. I do wonder if the Premier League is just too fast for him and too physical for him, even though he's got a wonderful left foot and he's got magic, and he's taken some criticism this year. It's been a bit unfair. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. If there's a market for him, he would be the one winger I think would go. Of all the wingers, he'd be the first one I think that would go. But is there a market for him, right? Is there a market? Is someone going to pay 30, 40 million?
Yeah.
I know I keep repeating myself, but such a weird market, Ali, to be honest with you.
I know, like still like I was expecting this summer to be more recovered, like in most aspects, but it's still like a really weird year in time. And, you're just having a small majority of fans being allowed. So your revenue, like from tickets, is not the same. So I imagine for a lot of clubs, they're still struggling. So a couple questions about people we have on loan. Who do you think is going to be like the most likely to break into this Chelsea side next season? So we have like Conor Gallagher, Ethan Ampadu, Ruben Loftus-Cheek has a chance after having a not so great spell at Fulham. Mark Gurkey as well.
The last one's got the biggest chance, I think. Mark Gurkey, I think he's got the biggest chance. He's smashed it at Swansea. Club loves him. Tuchel likes what he sees, from what I've been told. So I would say him. Conor Gallagher, I'm a big fan of. I rate him. I rate Conor Gallagher. Just not quite Chelsea level yet. I don't think so. Ethan Ampadu, I think he's. I don't know. I think he could. We've missed the boat with him. I think he could be. I could be premature in saying this and cynical, but I just don't know if I see him play for Chelsea Football Club long term. Ruben.
It's just such a congested position as well. It's like, where do you really fit him in? I love Ruben. He's like one of my favorite players, and I'm just so sad to see how it's gone down, especially because he was on such a high, hitting his stride, like getting all these goals and assists, and then he just got injured and has not been the same player since that injury.
No, and that's what injuries do, right? Eden Hazard hasn't been the same player since he went to Real Madrid's team physio. So
I have my questions about like if it could be like what the medical team is doing, honestly, because
100%. Real Madrid's medical team's a joke.
Really?
No doubt. Joke. Absolute joke. Yeah, 100%. With that said, you can obviously argue that all the injuries have caught up with him, right? That they've all them hits he took now all of a sudden caught up. But I'm still a believer if he stayed with Chelsea's medical team, it would have been fine. But yeah, injuries do kill careers. We've seen that in all sports, right? Ruben is similar to Callum in a way, and not similar, but similar in a way of like he needs to have a year. If he's going to stay at Chelsea, he needs to have a big year. If not, it's done. This is like your last chance, I think, buddy. And I think the club.
He's like older as well, right? Like,
yeah, he's getting mid-20s. The club have stuck by him a lot, as they should. They've stuck by him a lot. But I think
25 already. What?
Huh?
He's 25.
Yeah, so time's ticking.
Like
right?
almost
but you can't keep sticking by him all the time. It's football, it's business. People have got to move on. I love him. Obviously, I've got an affiliation with him, as people know, and Simon loves him as well. But yeah, at some point you got to say, look, buddy, you got to kick on here, or you're done. So this is his year. It's pre-season. This is the biggest pre-season of his life.
Because if he kills it in pre-season, you think that he could stay.
If he kills it, Thomas will give him a chance, 100%. Anything less than killing it, like anything less than that, he'll be loaned or sold.
So sad. I really wanted to work out for him, honestly. So kind of like to wrap up this stream, I wanted to play like kind of a game. So I wanted to go through like kind of like the main transfer targets and then the main people that we said would get sold, and kind of get a scale 0 to 10, like the likeliness that we sign them or the likeliness that we sell them. Cool. Okay, so let's start with Harry Kane.
So am I scoring out of 10? What am I doing? Am I just saying likely, unlikely? Yeah. What do you want me to
do? So 0 out of 10, 10 being extremely likely, and 0 being absolutely no chance.
Harry Kane, 1.
Okay. Everybody's saying, why can't we get Harry Kane done? And guys, like, there's so much rivalry and hatred there. Like, I really, really don't see it happening. Okay. Lukaku. Nobody's gonna hold you to this, guys. Nobody is allowed to hold Dan. It's just a game that we're playing.
I would have said 7 a week ago. Now I'm going to drop it down to a I'm going to drop it down to a 5.5 because I still think it's not over. I really do.
Interesting. Erling Haaland.
4.
Bummer. Well, people say Kai was like a 2, and then we got him. So
no, exactly. No, it can. It could. Roma could be on the phone as we're speaking right now, saying, "Okay, we're going all in for Haaland like now." So
you never know. Declan Rice.
This is like my love. This is like my heart and my mind right here. My heart is like 10, and my head is like 2. Declan signing this summer, I still think is unlikely. I'm going to go 4.
Okay. What other signings did we mention? Did we mention like
you got Tuchemeni, right, from Monaco? He's the second choice PM. If we don't get Rice, we could go for him. So I put him as a 5. Kamara 3.
I saw like I can't say his name. Traore.
You're more cultured than me. You should be able to say it better than me. Traore. I said this on Twitter. Back pocket. Chelsea just, hey, would he be available? How much would he cost? Et cetera, et cetera. Okay, we know what we need to do if we want to buy him. We'll just keep him there for the moment. So he's definitely back pocket. I would say 4. You can tell why Simon thinks I'm so negative, right? I'm just realistic,
No, that's good. We keep our expectations level, and then maybe we exceed them whenever that
exactly. That's exactly what I like to do. And then when we do sign a Kai Havertz or a Bencher, well, that's when we can freak out and have fun.
Exactly. That transfer window was so crazy, by the way. Just like every couple of days, like, oh, we have signed this player. It's like Christmas morning. I
remember the biggest one for me, because I was getting a lot of info about the Kai Havertz one, so I kind of knew what was going on there. The silver one, that was when I changed my account, because I think I was like one of the first, if not the first person to be like, we're signing Thiago Silva. I still remember the conversation with Simon to this day. I was like, we're signing Thiago Silva, by the way. He's like, what? I was like, we are going to sign Thiago Silva. He's like, are you sure? Like, we're going to put this out there, and this is going to make you or break you. And I was like, yeah, put it out there. Because he was convincing me for like a year or 2 to join him and be with him. And I was like, no, I'm not doing it. Twitter's way too crazy. And then we dropped that news. And I remember my following went from like 2,000 to 20,000 within like a week.
No way.
Yeah, it did. The Thiago Silva thing blew up and changed my whole account. Yeah. So, but my original point was, so the Thiago Silva thing I knew, the Havertz thing, I was always getting updates on that. The one that caught me by surprise was Timo Werner. I remember sitting in my car like, oh, Chelsea, like Matt Law, I think it was like, Chelsea are going to sign Timo Werner. I was like, what? Okay. That was quick.
1,000% going to Liverpool. Like, I was not even looking into anything regarding him. Like 1,000%. All right, who else? I think that's basically most of like the signings, right? Did I forget anybody?
Sancho, I'm sure.
Oh, Sancho, yeah. How could I forget?
If I'm a betting man, I bet that Sancho goes to Man United. Bummer. So I'm going to say 4, because I wouldn't say Sancho is completely ruled out from going to Chelsea, but 60% tells me he's going to Man United.
Interesting. So there's a chance. Yeah, I love 4. So nothing. I don't think we've had anything that's just Lukaku is like slightly above 50%.
Yeah,
so it's not looking good.
Because it is right now, Ellie, it's if and buts, right? It's if Lukaku is really, Chelsea clearly might not want Lukaku, right? So if we don't want Lukaku, Dan needs a trim. I just got a trim, man. What are you talking about? So if Lukaku stays, then Haaland becomes a 6, right? Does that make sense? Like, it's a lot of that. Like if we can't get Declan Rice, Manny becomes this, right? If Declan Rice, if West Ham entertain an offer of Tammy and Barkley, then Declan Rice becomes an 8. Like, that is transfers, right? That's why people love transfer rumors. That's why people get so agitated when we don't give them what they want to hear, because it is so like it's not just that easy, right? Oh, we're gonna go buy him. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do this again in like a month or so before the window closes and see like what's changed and kind of compare. Okay, so now quickly. Yeah, I really like this game. Well,
Again,
mostly because I just made it up and you have to answer.
it's a good game. So to keep people going for that month, I would say watch out for. I would say my last thing would be Lukaku isn't over yet. Don't be surprised if Chelsea pursue Haaland really hard. Keep a small eye on Sancho, but don't see it being likely. Declan Rice is the priority right now, but such a hard deal to do. So if not too many from Monaco, don't think we're going to sign Hakimi. There you go.
I like Hakimi as well. All right, so the last part of the game, Chelsea outgoings, likelihood, Giroud.
8.
I knew you were going to say 8. Tammy Abraham.
8.
Ziyech.
5.
Jorginho.
This is going to be
easier for you.
It really is, because it's like if an offer comes in, he's gone. But is an offer going to come in? It's unlikely. Yeah. So I'm going to go 4.
Kurt Zuma.
5.5 or a 6.
Well, you would say he's the most likely out of any of the center backs to go, probably.
Yeah, Chelsea want to get Rudiger on a new deal for sure. That's talks already happening with that. Christensen won't leave. Christensen's like Chelsea through and through. Thiago Silva's obviously signed his new deal. Who am I missing?
Aspi.
Oh, of course. Asby's staying. Of course, Asby's staying. So yeah, so Zuma's definitely the most likely. But Rudiger's also he's the closest, but he's so volatile that he could also be out the door within a week, right? If Rudiger doesn't get the deal he wants and the reassurances he wants, he is the guy who will go in the room and say, all right, I'm leaving. And he will get interest in Europe. Yeah, I definitely think he'll stay. I think Chelsea will kind of have to give him what he wants now at this point because of how good he was. But he will expect, and we know this, I've known this already, people who know will know this, he will expect good money and he will expect guarantees that he's going to play. Like, he's very much of that nature.
Interesting. Well, I guess, like, with the center back situation, like, if we stay in the same system, like, I assume that he definitely would be playing. But I do also kind of want to see, like, a system change, at least for teams, like, in the lower end of the table, because I don't think that you need a back five against those teams. Like, I really don't. So, like, if you sacrifice a defender for an extra attacker, you have an extra attacker on the pitch, which could also help to, like, break down the sides, give you more attacking outlet, creativity, etc. But just to end it, Kepa, likelihood. And let's say, like, loan or sell, because, like, likelihood of selling is probably very low.
I've got a sneaky feeling he might stay, so I'm going to say 4.5.
Interesting. Yeah, guys, we have, like, so many comments saying that Giroud's contract's being extended. We talked about this. Like, both Dan and myself are pretty convinced that it's so that when we do sell him, that we can get a little bit of money for him. It's, like, pretty typical that you do something like that. So I wouldn't get your hopes up about Giroud staying, honestly. Like, I think he's probably going to leave this summer. Business. Yeah. Well, Dan, honestly, thank you so much for joining me. We've been talking for like almost 50 minutes. There's over 200 people in this room right now, which is just absolutely insane. And guys, thank you so much for taking the time to watch really Dan's transfer news, because I'm just here asking the questions that I really want to know selfishly. So if you like this video, drop it a like, subscribe to my channel, but more importantly, follow Dan. And this is the opposite way, so I always get confused. Follow Dan on Twitter, which I've put in the description below. But Dan, any last closing remarks? Let everybody know where they can find you.
If you're going to be nice to me, you can go to @Maccasport on Twitter. If you're not, then don't bother, pretty much. You can also find me Sign Dan Talk Chelsea. We're on Twitter, and then we have a website, right, where we do podcasts, articles, newsletters, all that great stuff. So yeah, we're doing competitions over there as well. So yeah, you can find me there. But I'm definitely not I'm definitely I will get on like a house on fire, or you're straight up blocked. So you choose wisely. And then if you're into good moves, good times, then you can follow me. If not, no bother. Appreciate it.
You're too funny. You're too funny. I saw you guys did a giveaway, and I low-key wanted to enter, but I was like, I know Dan so well. Like, I would feel bad if I won.
Feel bad if you won. I've done that too. Like people I know on the platform, like they do competition. I'm like, if I won, I'd probably still give it away anyway. So there's no point.
Yeah. But that was like super cool. So guys, if you want a chance at winning giveaways as well, like I just saw one that I really wanted to enter. So definitely check them out. But guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. We'll definitely have more collabs and another transfer video at some point over the summer as well, and more content coming with the Euros coming up. Dan, I assume you're supporting England. Go England.
Come on, England.
Yeah, and I'm England and Spain because I have to do both, and I say I'm American, so I get to make that choice because
I'm with it.
So guys, thanks so much for watching this video, and until next time, I'm out.